Greetings from Hong Kong. My name is Tom Crampton. I am a former journalist from the New York Times and International Herald Tribune. I had postings in around the world: Bangkok, Hong Kong, this is Hong Kong, New York, Washington, and Paris. And I have since gone into working in social media. I run social media strategy for Ogilvy in Asia Pacific and have a blog which is fairly widely read, and look forward to this dialogue with you over the next coming weeks and days, discussing social media and its impact on communication. I think that the impact of social media is very much underestimated. That might be a strange thing to say, but this is a change that people are lumping in with the internet. It is not. It is a fundamental shift in communication in a way that the shift cannot be measured in terms of years, cannot be measured in terms of decades even, but really in terms of hundreds of years and the largest shifts in communications for mankind. If we look at those shifts, really the first form of communication was the spoken word. This allowed a small group of people to gather together and share ideas in the same space and same time. This becomes a little bit difficult when you try and expand the group beyond 100 people or so, but it is a very powerful way of communication. The next form of communication was the written word. This allowed communication over space and time. I can write a letter to you and it can be sent to you in a different country and you can read it later there. The next shift was movable type, invented first in China, then in South Korea, but really the real revolution was in Germany with Gutenberg. Movable type allowed for the first time in the history of the world an individual to speak to 1 million people in one single day. The weakness of that model, of course, is that you had to own the printing press. It's a very expensive proposition and makes it very difficult to do, but it was a really a huge shift in the size of audiences and really allowed the creation of mass media. What's happened with social media is that suddenly we have a form of communication where individuals now have the possibility of owning that very same printing press. One person with a single blog, my blog for example, has the same potential reach as the entire New York Times. This is a revolutionary period of time that we're living in. And we have to appreciate these huge changes that have taken place. What won't change going ahead? Looking ahead, one thing that won't change is the ability to communicate, learning how to communicate to one another. The fundamentals of communication don't change based on the medium. Really, with social media, it is a conversational situation, which is different from the version of mass media, which is more projecting a message. Social media, however, with that conversation, the same fundamentals of conversation hold true in a basic conversation among a group of people. If we are in a room talking about something and somebody walks in saying, buy, buy my product, we are going to find that person rather antisocial and not want to take part in that conversation with them. So really the thing that will not change over the next decade is training people to learn how to have an interaction within that conversational media sphere. In terms of the profession of communication, is this a good direction in which we're headed? Yes, of course. I love it. Really what we are doing is empowering people like they've never been empowered before to take part in conversations. As a company, this is very empowering because suddenly you can interact very directly with your consumers, or if you're a business-to-business company, with your clients. Suddenly we are very empowered to have these conversations. The biggest mistake that companies can make is by not, first of all, listening to what's going on in these conversations. You really have to know what is happening in terms of people talking about your company. What are people saying about the ASF? How are they characterizing it? Unless you are listening, you will not know what is happening, and you will have this newly empowered, moreover, with listening, you have a newly empowered ability to know what people are saying about you anyways. once you are listening, then you can begin engaging. Engaging within social media is a delicate proposition to begin with. You're losing a little bit of control, but keep in mind you've already lost control. The consumers are already out there talking about you. The consumers are already out there sharing their views on you. So really you have to get out there, listen, and then begin finding ways that you can contribute to the conversation without walking in with that sell, sell, sell message. My advice to somebody who's going into this field today really is get out there, try and figure out about these new communications tools and see which ones might work for what you're doing. They are extremely powerful, they are extremely valuable, and many of them are free or very low, relatively low cost. In terms of trying to catch up, for people who are not so familiar with these tools, the best thing to do is read blogs, read social media, read what is happening there in the way that people are communicating. Twitter may be the fad of today, but will it be there in 10 years? I don't know, and I don't really care. What I do know will be there is a more instantaneous form of communication among consumers and among people who are making business decisions about whether they are going to enter into contracts with BASF, use your services, or do anything with you. So whether Twitter itself is around or not doesn't matter. The fundamentals of that new form of conversation as communication are going to be here for the time to come. So I hope this has provoked a few ideas. I hope there's agreement, disagreement, and in the spirit of conversational media, very much look forward to continuing this dialogue with you. Thank you very much.